All right, welcome to the Metal Bob Live podcast. I am your host, Metal Bob. My main man over there, Mr. Bazooka Phil, and our guest today, Mr. Peter Dankelson. Thank you so much for joining us, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right, so give everybody a little rundown. I mean, I know we know you play in a band, and but this Goldenhar syndrome, I'm not real familiar with it. Just what I've read. Could you give us a
Yeah,
little bit of rundown on that?
yeah. So basically, Goldenhar syndrome. It's a type of a craniofacial condition. I forget exactly what the occurrence is for births, but it's a rare condition. Some of it can affect people in some different ways. But in my case, definitely the most noticeable right away is the missing left ear. And then I've had, I think over 35 surgeries.
Wow.
I can't remember. It's been
Yeah,
a lot. Been a lot.
yeah.
And then there's been there's lots of kind of internal stuff as well. I had a trach for the first 4 years of my life. Um, yeah, there's a lot going on.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I read a little bit about it. It sounds like it, like you said, it's very rare. And from
Yeah,
what I've read, they said every 3 to 5,000 births is kind of
yeah,
what.
that sounds about that
Wow,
sounds good. Yeah.
wow. Well, man. Well, I'm glad that you're doing good, man. I'm glad you're out there rocking, man.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I mean, I had the last big surgery I had was in 2019 for airway reconstruction, and that was as intense as it sounds. Kind of a long story short with that, I had an open stoma. Basically, I had a trach for the first 4 years of my life to help me breathe easier, and then I had the open stoma to help me breathe even more after I got that trach removed. And doctors didn't want to close the stoma until I had more jaw surgeries. Basically, that moving that lower jaw forward, it made the airway bigger. It moved everything forward a little bit. So with the airway being bigger, doctors were like, okay, everything's good. We can get it closed up now. So, 19 years. So that took a while. But I think that's the last, that should be the last big procedure. I think I'm done with the big ones. I hope.
Right. Well, we hope for you too, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran across you on social media, and I'm like, I was telling Phil, I said we got to get this guy on the show. I mean, you were
Yeah.
amazing, dude. You've
Huge
Thank you.
actually
inspiration. Yeah.
you brought out better out of me too, buddy. Just watching some of your videos and the things you've been through and all that stuff, man. It's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited that people have been enjoying all the jams and stuff on social media. It's cool that everyone's pumped up about it.
Yeah. So are you a big Angus Young fan?
Huge. Angus is my guy.
Is he?
He's the reason. Well, I don't know if he was the main reason I picked up the guitar, but he was the guy. When I heard him, I'm like, I want to do that. Like, you could pick up a guitar and there's all these things that you could want to play or want to choose to do. But when I heard Angus and ACDC, I'm like, I want to do exactly what he does, like licks and all that. I'm like, that's it. That's so cool. And he's still kind of like the driving force behind everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that explains the SG, man. That's a sweet guitar.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny because I tried to get away from the SG because I'm like, at this point, these Angus habits that I kind of got, from when I started, they're just natural at this point. Like a lot of Angus is like, vibrato and all
Mm-hmm.
of that. Those are just like natural parts of my playing now. I don't even think about it. So I'm like, do I really want to play the same guitar as Angus? So I've experimented with Les Pauls, Lion Keys. I know I like the Gibson sound because a lot of the other players I gravitate towards, that's kind of just the sound that I've always kind of gravitated towards. But I just always keep going back to the SG. Just with me being a smaller guy, the upper fret access is easy. It's lightweight. That's why I really like it. Choose it over more than a Les Paul because I love the Les Paul to death, and they sound amazing. But they're heavy. Like if we're doing like a 3 hour show, it's and then I take the guitar off. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So
Do
the SG, it's like you can get some more. It's not going to kill you the next morning.
you like a thicker neck or the thinner neck?
I like I can adapt. Like if I really, if someone gives me a guitar and it's like, okay, I need to play this for a show, I'll
Mhm.
do what I can to make it work. But I do kind of like it's kind of an SG thing too with the flatter necks.
Yeah.
there's that. So the thinner necks I like more because I was actually born. One of the things with Goldenhar is I was born with no muscle in my left thumb, or on my fretting hand. So the thinner necks, I can grab those a little bit easier and kind of maneuver around them a little bit better. But like I have Epiphone reissued the Karina Flying V earlier this year, and those necks are chunky. I was like, oh my. But it's an amazing guitar. So it's like I'll make it work because I'm like, am I gonna be able to use this live? And first time I used it live, I'm like, oh, it's like all of that went out the window. It's like, this is a great guitar. I love how it feels. It's just kind of like you're in the moment for the show. You don't really think about the next size. You make it work. So that was cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I know Phil, he plays guitar. Phil does.
Yeah,
I try to. Probably not as good as you, but I try.
I took the easy road. I became a singer.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes that can be harder.
It is.
It's tricky. Yeah.
I don't have to carry anything.
Yeah. There's always that joke.
Just his ego.
Yeah. Yeah.
All he has to do is carry his ego.
Yeah.
Well, the joke, man. You know how many singers it takes to change light bulb, right?
Yep.
Just one. The whole world revolves around it. Or something like that. I don't know if that's
something
right.
Something like that. Yeah. Or it's like the singer's telling you what to do, or something like that. Exactly what the joke.
So you got a couple books out. When you want to tell us about your books?
Yeah. So the I guess the autobiography is how I learned to rock my life. And really that was my mom's passion project. And really it was a really cool idea because, with social media, people see the guitar playing and me jamming and all of that. It's great and fun. But of course, there's this whole other side to my life and my story with, all of these medical challenges and, all of this, stuff that I've gone through. So, the book was really a way to kind of shine light on that. And, especially like in my early, from the year I was, from when I was born to about 4 years old, there was a lot going on medically there with like tons of surgeries and all of that. So the book really kind of shines light on that. And then of course, it talks about when I picked up the guitar and, when that kind of all happened.
Right on.
But really it was kind of a good way to share the medical side of things.
Nice. So you guys just put your EP out this year. Is that correct? All screwed up?
Well, it's kind of a funny story. We had it released. Well, we recorded it in 2020, fall of 2021, had it released in spring of 22. So it had been out there for a while. But something kind of funny was, we were kind of deciding, I'm like, maybe I should try and carve my own name musically instead of Pete's Diary. So we initially released it under Peter Dankelson.
Okay.
Just kind of like, okay, maybe, the music can kind of be more my thing instead of Pete's Diary. But really just because, the social media has gotten so large, people just associate everything with Pete's Diary. So it's like, then it kind of got confusing. So I'm like, well, okay. Let's just, and like I saw like one night, we were playing a show and, it said like, the headlining band, and then it said Pete's Diary. So I'm like, you know what, I think that's more of a sign than anything. We should definitely just keep it as Pete's Diary. So that got switched over. But unfortunately, the difficult thing is, there's all this crazy stuff with music. It's not as easy as going in and just changing the name. You have to take everything down, create a whole new profile and all of this crazy stuff. And, you have to get the music in the system and wait for a few weeks for it to come out and all of this stuff. So, yeah, so it's kind of a re-release, but it had been out there since like May, I think, of 2022. Okay. So, yeah. It's kind of a funny story with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I noticed that that was re-released or something happened because I remember some of those songs being available and then yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, it's kind of an odd thing to do, but it's out there now. It's going to stay out there. No more changes. So yeah.
I seen Music Radar. They had nominated or not nominated you, but they had named you like one of the top 13 personalities for on our social media personality guitar player for 2020.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool of them to do. Yeah, yeah, that was fun when that happened. I think that was a couple of years ago. That was pretty neat. And
Well,
I love seeing the list because I mean I watch all of those players too. And I'm just like, am I really above, such and such? I'm like, I don't think so, but hey, so it was cool.
oh, it's
Uh,
definitely well deserved, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes,
it was
sir.
really neat.
Nice.
So watching some of your videos, I noticed that you've met quite a few famous inspiration guitar players and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so what's kind of been one of those standout moments for you? Like playing on stage with Buck Cherry or meeting Joe Bassamana and getting a jam with him, or what kind of stands out for you?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, getting to jam with Buck Cherry was a lot of fun. That was really cool. And basically, it's kind of a long story, but I've done some like work with kind of their, I think it's their I don't know if it's their UK label or just kind of their main label in general. To with the social media following, I could cover
Yeah.
it to hopefully help get some exposure for like an upcoming release. So, they said, hey, Buck Cherry's got a new album coming out, and here's the next single, we'd love for you to jam. So I'm like, oh, sweet, so figured it out, it went online and the band got a kick out of it. And they're like, hey, whenever we're in town, come on up and jam. So that's kind of how that all happened. And that was awesome.
Wow.
Those guys are really nice. And that it just came out with another new album too. And that was really good. So yeah.
Yeah, 10. It's a great album too.
It is
Yep.
good.
Yeah, it is a fun record. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that brings me to a question. Now, I'm a little jealous of you, buddy. And I'm going to tell you why I'm jealous, because you shared the stage with my hero, Tracy Guns, man.
Uh-huh. That was so much fun. Tracy, he's kind of followed Pete Styrey for a while. And
Yeah.
he's just been super, super nice. I saw them about a year ago at the Arcada and got to meet him for the first time. It's like a local theater, kind of close around here. And it was cool. It was a great bill because it was LA Guns, Faster Pussycat, and what was it? Tom Kiefer.
Yeah.
So it was just like three, fantastic bands, just lots of music. It was great. But it's just kind of coincidence. Earlier this year, when they released their Black Diamonds album, me and Mac, he's the singer and bass player in the band, we're writing an album. Well, we have an album written right now, but we were out there, writing for that, for the record. And it just kind of so happened that, at the same time, LA Guns was going to do their album release show at the Whiskey A Go Go. So, I'm like, oh, sweet. So I'm like, Tracy, we're going to be able to come, to the show and be able to see you guys play. And he's like, awesome. Do you want to come jam? And I was like, let me think about it.
Yeah.
Jam with LA Guns at the Whiskey A Go Go,
Man,
Yeah.
you killed it too, man. It was
Oh
awesome.
my God. It's such a whirlwind. It's so quick when you go on stage, you don't really have a lot of time to take it all in. But I'm just like, it's just like, I just remember really quick, just kind of looking out and I'm like, I'm on stage at the Whiskey, and I think it was a sold out show too. Like I'm on stage with LA Guns, sold out show at the Whiskey A Go Go. I'm just like, wow. Yeah, it was definitely a pinch me moment. That was very, very cool. That was really exciting. And we jammed Rip and Tear. That was awesome. That's such a jam.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I had to get up there for a second. Sorry.
Yeah, it's
No,
okay.
and Faster Pussycat being on the bill. I mean, that's another one of my favorite bands too. Elegans.
They're awesome. Yeah. Sam Van Colton. Yeah.
Are you is that kind of the sound that you gravitate to? Is that old school rock sound?
Yeah. I mean, AC/DC. Yeah. I mean, Tracy, LA Guns and Faster Pussycat kind of have a bit of that style too. Yeah, it's kind of that, I don't know, more 70s kind of sound,
Yeah.
Like I have like the old school Marshalls and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely what I gravitate towards, kind of sound wise and musically. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll probably pester you about your gear here in a second. But
yeah.
I kind of wanted to dive into kind of what that sound, because when I listen to your EP, I get that, the riffy.
Yes.
You can hear the influences there, and so does that come from Is that something that was playing around the house? Is that something that your dad was jamming to, or your mom that you grew up with? That
Yeah.
kind of, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, dad, listens to a lot of like AC/DC, kind of the hard rock stuff. But I mean, I remember when I was really little and, you know, the cover still kind of sticks out on my head. It must have been like a CD or something that like, mom and dad would play around the house. Like from when I was really little, it was like the Beatles, One album. And I just remember I still have like, whenever I hear like, I think it's, like A Hard Day's Night, Love Me Do, like
Yeah.
some of the tunes, or Day Tripper in particular too. I still remember being like a little kid and just like the melodies and even the riffs, like I hear them, they kind of stick out to me. So yeah, that's kind of a cool memory. Looking back at it, I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
Just
That's
to tell
neat.
you a little bit about my experience with LA Guns, because I'm such a huge fan. I've seen them 50 times in concert.
Nice.
I'm
That's
gonna go.
awesome.
I'm getting ready to go see them next Sunday, I think. So
Nice. That's so cool.
I'm finally gonna break the 5-0.
Yeah, nice. That's so cool.
But yeah, the closest I ever came to, I mean, I've met Tracy several times, but the closest I've ever come to jamming with him is my band opened up for one of his side projects, Devil City Angels. At one time, we had opened
Nice.
for them, and that's the closest I got, man. But you actually got to get up there and play a song with him, man. So that's killer.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
That's the first thing I told Phil. I was like, this dude played with Tracy Guns. I have to talk to this guy. I'm a huge LA Guns fan, man. So that's my band. So cool, man. What did you have something else, Phil, that you were going to ask?
Yeah, just gear wise. I mean, we can jump into that right now. What do you use gear wise?
So gear wise, my kind of go-to axe, I think it's a 2012 or 2013 SG standard. And that I love how that guitar feels. Just everything about it, the way the neck feels, the playability, up and moving up and down the neck, the weight of it, it's perfect. So that's kind of my go-to. I'm like, and sound wise too, I'm like, okay, tend to play, that's the one I pick up immediately and go to. And then I also have, actually grab it really quick. It's just right here. I have, it's the Amp-Wise, Marshall came out a couple years ago with the studio series. And basically, there are 20-watt versions of kind of some of the bigger 100-watt, kind of classic amps. So like they have like they have those amps remade for that line. And the one I'm using primarily right now is they call it the Studio Vintage, and that's kind of the Plexi version of it. And it's 20 watts, but it'll rip your head off, It's crazy loud, but it's great, I'm like, hey, perfect. And then also, they were really nice and reached out and sent me they just released a few weeks ago, the JTM. And that's like the early version of the Plexi, or like, I think that was like the first amp that Marshall made.
Mm-hmm.
So they just re-released that for the studio series, and they sent that to me early. I haven't tried it out live yet, but I've been digging how it sounds. Yeah.
Nice.
And then and then one last thing, because the Plexi, it's crunchy, but you kind of have to really hit it hard to get a lot of sounds out of it. So I'm using the Marshall Governor to kind of push the amp a bit more if I need to. Or just kind of like some EQ stuff too. So yeah, so that's kind of the main setup, and I have like a small Shure wireless that I'm using for that. So pretty straightforward, but it works.
So straight into the governor thing there, and then into the amp, and do you use any pedals or anything like that?
Not really. I think with like maybe like a song that we're doing off of I don't know. It's kind of like I'll make like a board or something, or figure out what I need to do after we're done recording this upcoming album, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, is going to be in the fall that we'll record. So we'll see when releases and all that, and how that's all going to go down. But I'm like, once like we're done recording, I'll be like, okay, time to make a board. Okay, here's what I need for what we're doing. So
get your sounds.
Yeah.
I use very little pedals in front of my amps. If I need to, I do, but I like just the sound that I get from my fingers straight to guitar straight into the amp.
Yeah,
And just crank that amp up and let her open up and rip. So,
and I use the volume a lot too. Like I'm always
Yep.
going back and forth, and it's like I usually dial it in with the volume on like maybe 7 or so, and then if it's like okay, it's time for a solo, I'll either if I need to, I'll turn up the governor or something, or maybe move the gain a bit more and just roll the volume up to 10. So yeah, it's pretty simple.
Nice.
Yep. That's a lot like what I do too.
Mhm.
Cool.
Are you still based in Libertyville?
Close. We moved a few years ago. But that's just like the town next over. So I mean, yeah. I mean, we're in Mundelein, but Libertyville. I went to Libertyville High School, and
Okay.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
And Tom Morello actually went there, so that was pretty.
Right on.
Nice.
And
Cool.
Adam Jones, so that was pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm an Illinois boy myself.
Nice.
I grew up in the Quad Cities, Moline, Illinois, Davenport, right across the river from Davenport, Iowa.
Yep.
And I got a son that lives in DeKalb. I'm sure that's a lot closer to where you're at, DeKalb, Illinois, right off of 88, heading towards Chicago, Aurora area, kind of.
Oh, okay, Aurora. Yep,
Yeah.
I know where that. Yeah.
So we vowed we're going to come see you play a show, man, because I know you play a lot of shows up there.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like I think after this week, it's going to wind down because everybody's back in school. Yeah, it's like, well, okay, yeah, it's been a busy summer, so it's been good to kind of get going. Yeah. It's been fun.
Are you guys going to go? Go ahead, Phil. I'm sorry.
I was looking at your dates on your website, and it looks like you got a pretty good run up through the first week in September, like a ton of shows. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this upcoming week we have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, that's kind of four in a row right there. And then I think after that things are going to slow down quite a bit. I think it's like another weekend, and then maybe 2 shows another weekend, and then I think after that it's just going to be a bit quiet for a while.
Yeah, very cool. Are you guys going to try to get into some other states? I know you play Wisconsin every once in a while. Are you thinking about trying to reach out a little further?
Yeah, I'd like to. I think next summer, I'm hoping next summer we'll be able to probably travel a little bit more and visit some new places. Because yeah, I'd love to kind of get out there more and really kind of, meet new people and just keep going. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys sound great. I've never got to see you live, but I've seen a lot of video and stuff, and you guys do a great job.
People seem to really, be into it when we're playing live, or like we just had a show last night at like a local kind of bar, and some of these people came up and they're like, "Why aren't you in stadiums?" I'm like, "Whoa, it's kind of fun right there." We gotta keep going. But I'm like, that. I mean, yeah, that's a dream right there.
Tell us a little bit about. I know you do some motivational speaking. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that all started. I think when did that start? Well, it's kind of a long story, but basically this all kind of began. There was this book that came out quite a few years ago called Wonder. And basically with this book, it kind of told the story of a young boy with a craniofacial syndrome. And, it's just kind of some of the social challenges through school. And it was a really great book, really accurate, with all of the, some of the challenges that we face. It's done really, really well. It became a movie in 2017, and it's a really great story. But quite a few years ago, we went out to California, and I did a staged reading performance of, some scenes from the book. And while we were out there staying with some friends, our friends got us into a school to kind of share, because they'd read the book, and they're like, this is kind of a chance to meet somebody who kind of has real life experience. This is a real person kind of sharing his story, and some of my challenges that I've had to face. So I went in and kind of shared my story a little bit, and just talked to the kids. And then when we went back home, word of mouth just kind of started to spread around about the speaking out in California, and we started visiting local schools, and it just kind of kept going from there. Nice. And it's kind of evolved over the years, because when it started, it was about the similarities and differences between me and the main character of the book, some of um, my challenges and his challenges and how they were similar and different. But it's kind of evolved into, when I picked up the guitar and started playing, and, it's become more, especially now, with the pandemic, it's like sharing my story. It's become fully about sharing my story, and how music's helped me out big time, through some of my challenges, medical, or, social, I mean, any kind of emotion, um, so yeah, it's kind of what it's evolved to, and especially when the pandemic hit, all this kind of craziness is going on. It's kind of like, if I can share my story and hopefully it inspires some kids to push themselves to be the best versions of themselves that they can be, and show that they can overcome whatever challenges they face. Yeah, that's kind of the same thing.
That's very cool, man. Thank you for doing that, man. That's really cool.
It's cool. I get a lot out of it. It's cool kind of hearing from the kids, like, how, this has helped them, or, how they might see something differently, or, think of something differently. So, it's cool to know that people are taking to it.
Right on.
That's great. I've got a question, and I lost my hearing in my left ear here about 10 years ago. So I can only hear out of one ear.
Yep.
And I understand the challenges of being a musician, playing shows and everything that presents.
Yeah.
So like, talk about how you work through those opportunities of trying to figure out the best way to get your sound on stage. I know I read some stuff that you were doing with some different audio things. So can you elaborate on those?
Yeah, so let's see. One of the big challenges with having one ear and being a musician is headphones,
Right.
because
Everything's
like,
stereo.
if you're like a two guitar player band, like AC/DC, for example, you'll have Angus doing the lead stuff and the lead rhythm stuff on the right side, and you'll have Malcolm on the left. Or if it's Guns N' Roses, typically I'll Slash on the right, or Izzy, or whoever it'll be on the left. So I mean, that's kind of that kind of thing. Or was like, or like 60s, Hendrix, like, I think did a lot of panning, with some solos kind of going back and forth. Or like Van Halen's first couple of records, Eddie's doing all of his guitar stuff in the left channel, which I'm still upset about. I still remember I put on headphones one night and Running with the Devil. I was listening to Van Halen 1, and I hit Running with the Devil and gonna listen to the whole album, and I just listen. I hear the bass, and it just keeps going. I'm like, isn't that when the guitar comes in? I'm like, the drums are there. And I'm like, no, that's where the guitar comes in, because the drums are there. So I rewind it, listen again. I'm like, what is going on? And faintly, I could just hear a little bit of reverb and just a little bit of that, echo on the right. And I'm like, what? So I take the headphones, flip it around. I'm like, there he is. Yeah. So, but I found out there's, if you go into your settings on your phone, there's something called mono audio. And that just throws everything into each side. So I turned that on and kind of got the whole,
cool.
band on the one side. So I'm like, well, okay, that solves that problem. Or if I want to, I could just keep it off. And like, if I'm listening to AC/DC, I want to do it, I'll just put the headphones around, or, kind of see what's going on there. So, it's got its uses.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use a mono, earplug or something like that.
Yeah.
When I'm listening, like when I'm on stage, I try to make sure that my monitors, are all set up so where they're on my right side, so I can get a good sound.
Like I'm on stage, how I like to be on stage, kind of anyway. Not, it just kind of works out hearing wise. I like to be on, I guess it's stage left, because then the drums and everybody else is on that side.
On that side, yeah.
Yeah, on the right side, and then I can just kind of run that way.
I struggle with that because I have a guitar player on my left side and bass player on my right. So I hear the bass way more than the other guitar player. So that's why I utilize the monitor to bring up that other guitar in there, so I can get a good mix and hear a good mix when I'm performing and stuff. But I just, I know that there's a lot of musicians that have lost hearing, or
Yeah.
like Paul Stanley, one of my idols.
Yeah.
He that microtia that he had, and so he
Yep.
only had one ear, and Ted Nugent lost his hearing in one ear, and
Oh, he
and so
did.
there's yeah, I saw an interview with him where he was talking about that, and so all of them have different ways. So I just wanted to kind of see how you dealt with it. Like everybody else, it's everybody has their own unique way of dealing with it. So
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like I don't know what I'm missing, if that makes sense. Because I'm like,
right,
this
you don't know what you don't
how
know.
it is. Exactly. I mean, this is just how it is. So people are like, "Oh, how does this, compare?" And I'm like, I honestly don't know. Like, this is just how it. So it's like, yeah, it's like monitors definitely help, and having a really loud amp definitely helps.
Yeah.
So, so yeah. I mean, and Ryan, he plays drums in the band. He's very heavy handed, so it's intense. It's loud, which is perfect.
It's rock and roll.
It is rock and roll. Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, hey, while we got you on here, buddy, I'd like for you to talk a little bit about your website and where people can find you on social media and some of the gear you got available and all that kind of stuff for people to wear, t-shirts, whatever you got.
Yeah. So the website is petesdiary.com. And on there's show dates, all the upcoming show dates that we're doing. And there's merch on there too. So like t-shirts, there's CDs available of the All Screwed Up EP. I think there's some picks on there too. I think like if you buy like a bundle of something, there's like some guitar picks included. And actually, I think we just got Mac just got his order of picks, so I think we're gonna start rolling those picks out too. That'll be fun. So yeah, there's t-shirts, picks, there's books out there as well. So yeah, and I think if you order through the website, they're all signed. So that's
Perfect.
that's all out there. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. I plan on getting me a couple of them books and
Awesome. Thank
I'm
you.
gonna do a little shopping later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, buddy,
Hey,
you
before
got
we
another.
let you go, I got a question. You said you're going in to record your full-length album.
Yes.
Are you using a producer? I mean, are you planning on working with anybody? What's kind of give us the lowdown there?
Yeah, we finished writing this record with Keith Nelson, who co-founded Buck Cherry. So I mean that's been really fun. He was recommended to us by a really good friend. So that's how we know each other from that. And it's been a lot of fun. We went down to LA in April and July and wrote a bunch of songs, and we have enough for a record. And so I don't know exactly when the dates are going to be to go in and record, but that's next up in the process. So like right now, we're rehearsing the tunes. We're playing most of them live, which is a ton of fun, and seeing how people are reacting and digging it, and feeling those songs out in a live setting. So that's been a lot of fun. It's been really cool seeing how people have been reacting to those.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, buddy, awesome. we really, really appreciate your time today, man. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you all day. I want you to get back to your Sunday, play some guitar, whatever you do, man. Cause
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Hey, we got to do our what you spinning.
Oh
segment.
Yeah. Phil.
We got to do that.
Let's do it. So you want to go first, Phil?
Yeah. So, what we do here is we just what's the last thing we were listening to? Where we've been jamming to this week or whatever.
Yeah.
So mine is Y&T. I was listening to Mean Street right before we got on.
Nice.
Love
man.
Y&T, that old classic, that those classic albums from the 80s, when they were Yesterday and Today, that was one era, those first two albums. And then they, in 80, they came out as Y&T, and I love that Y&T era from the 80s all the way up through 86 or so. And so I jammed to those albums all the time, but that's what I've been listening to.
Nice.
Very cool. What about you, Peter?
Me, last night when we were all coming home from the show, a tune that actually I'm hoping, we've been kind of rehearsing it a little bit. I hope we're going to try and play it live because it's kind of a hidden gem from Guns N' Roses. It's a song called Bad Obsession from Use Your Illusion 1. Okay. And it's awesome. It's a great song. It's got some really great slide work. Just this really fun song. And it came on in the car last night when we were all coming home, and me and Mac, we know all the words, so we were just kind of singing along and air guitar into it. It's a really great tune. Yeah.
Very cool. I think the last thing I listened to, Phil, was just Too Fast for Love by Motley Crue last night, man. I hadn't spun that one in a while, so I threw it on and kind of listened to it from beginning to end. And it's always been one of my favorite classic records of all time.
Yeah. It's a great record.
Yeah, that's my favorite Motley record by far.
It is mine too, man. I mean, I like some of the other ones, but that for some reason, that rawness of that first record I just love it, man.
Well, it's punky and it's got it's killer. It's a killer album.
It is very good, man.
Cool, man.
Well, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks, Peter, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
It's very cool, buddy. So we will talk to you soon. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And just thank you, man. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Cool.
Best wishes moving forward. Let us know when the album comes out. We'll help you promote that too. Just
I'm very excited about that. That'll be fun to finish recording that and figure out how that's going to get pushed out. I'm looking forward to all of that.
Yeah, we'll bring you back on and help you promote it. So
yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
You'll have to get it. You'll have to get it to Cruise, man, so you can put it on the radio.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got a buddy that has a radio station. He has a program
nice.
that he does metals, and rock and metal. So we'll get you some airplay there too.
Awesome. That'd be perfect. Thank you.
Peter, thank you so much, buddy. Take care of yourself and have a great day, buddy.
You too. Take care, guys.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.